The new Lambda 10.3 filter wheel and shutter controller has a ring buffer that can be used to automate imaging or enable high-speed multicolor excitation from a single TTL input. Individual settings can be input into the controller, and the TTL signal will cycle through each of the settings one at a time with each TTL signal received. Let's take a close look at two examples of how to set this up. First, we'll use a single filter wheel for multicolor excitation. Second, we'll use two filter wheels and a shutter for excitation and emission control. For our first example, we will cycle a single filter wheel through multiple positions with one trigger source. This could be used to automate multi-channel fluorescence excitation in a microscope, for example, and it could be triggered directly by the camera or any repeatable trigger output from the system. We see our single filter wheel connected to channel A. Now we will connect our TTL signal to the back of the Lambda 10.3 controller. Most units do require the TTL input for the ring buffer to be in channel C. And next we'll program our ring buffer position settings. Turn the unit on, press local in order to control it from the keypad, and then press Mode 8 to access the ring buffer settings, and select 1 to build the ring buffer on recording. The filter wheel is in the first position and the shutter is open. We will use this as the first ring buffer position. Press local twice and then select 1 to save this setting and continue programming the next. For this example, we're simply going to cycle through the filter positions. So press 2 to select the second filter position, then local twice, and 1 to save and continue. Repeat these steps for all of the desired filter positions. In this example, we will program 8 filter positions. Once you have programmed your last ring buffer position, press local twice, but now select 2 to save and exit the ring buffer setup. The last step is to enable the ring buffer. To do this, press Mode 8, 3 to enable or disable the TTL control of the ring buffer, and 1 to activate the ring buffer on the rising edge of the TTL signal. Now the ring buffer is enabled, and every time the unit receives a TTL signal, it will cycle to its next ring buffer setting. Finally, to disable the ring buffer, select Mode 8, 3, and then 0 to disable the TTL control. Our next example will use two filter wheels and a shutter connected to channels A and B. The TTL in signal will still be connected to channel C. For this example, our initial position has both filters in position 1 and the shutter is open. We will use this as our first ring buffer setting. Press Mode 8 to access the ring buffer settings, then press 1 to build ring buffer on recording. Press local twice, and then select 1 to save this setting and continue programming the next. Press 2 to change filter wheel 1 to position 2. Then we will change our active filter wheel by pressing Mode 1 and then 2 to select filter wheel 2 as our active filter wheel. And let's set this position to 5 for this example. Press local twice and then 1 to save this position and continue. Since filter wheel 2 is still selected as the active filter wheel, I will go ahead and change filter wheel 2 to position 0 for this third ring buffer setting. Then I will change my active filter wheel back to wheel 1 by selecting Mode 1, 1, and then pressing 3 to select filter position 3 for wheel 1. Press local twice, and now press 2 to save this and exit. Then, to enable the ring buffer, press Mode 8, 3, and then 1 to enable the TTL control. Now the unit will go to the next ring buffer setting each time it receives a new TTL signal. It is also possible to set up intermediate steps in the ring buffer with the shutters closed during the filter wheel rotations in order to protect the sample from unnecessary excitation light exposure.
Please call us or email info@sutter.com to discuss system configurations tailored to your research. Additional product information is also available on our website. Explore our YouTube channel to find our latest support videos and product announcements. Subscribe now.